I'm Alex,
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Spencer.
and we are
The Button
Mappers.
Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers.
What's up, gamers? Grab your Mountain Dew, get your Doritos, because the Bud Mappers are talking about the Xbox.
I'm excited for this. It should be noted that it's just me and you today. Teddy is currently at the fair where he is running a Ferris wheel. So hopefully that goes well. But it's just us two today. So hopefully we can make a great show for the viewers.
And we actually figured since it's just us, we would do something that we don't think Teddy has any interest in talking about. So we decided to talk about the Xbox Series S, and talk about a little bit about the Xbox brand.
Yeah.
Do you think the Xbox still has that like dude bro stigma? You know what I'm talking about? Like the
Actually, I think
Doritos.
I think they do.
Do you?
Yeah, because that was like the last generation. It was the PS4 versus the Xbox, and obviously the Nintendo has cut its own market. But PS4 versus Xbox, and the people that liked the PS4 were usually the more like elite gamer people that liked like single player games and like JRPGs and like the like a more single player experience. And the Xbox people are all about they have an Xbox because they're playing with their friends, and it's all like it's like a COD environment.
You're totally right. And when I bought because I had two Xbox Ones, and we'll talk about that later, I guess, and my experiences with that. But the first Xbox One that I got, I bought off of a friend who was like that, who was like very Call of Duty dude bro. And then the second Xbox One, it was the Xbox One S. I also bought off a friend, and all he did was he gave it to me with a Turtle Beach headset, which is really nice, by the way.
Yeah.
But he all he played was Ark and I think like Call of Duty World War II. That was it.
That's funny. Isn't it weird that like we're so ensconced in video games and like we're like keeping up with what's coming out and everything, and but there is like a large subset, not even a small subset, like a large subset of gamers that play like 2 games, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't like. I remember because like I worked with him and he sold me the Xbox. And then he gave me his copy of World War II for free with it, and I was like, cool, whatever. I didn't play it. I sold it. But he was like, "Hey, man, what you been playing?" Well, on that Xbox I sold you, and I was like, I've played like Forza 7, and then I played some Crackdown 3, and then I tried some this game off Game Pass, and then I played a little bit of this. Oh, then I got the Shenmue collection, and then I played Sekiro for a little bit. He's like, well, I used to play Ark all the time with my friends over in Germany and stuff. We used to play Ark constantly. I used to be on Ark. That's what I do. Get off work and get on Ark and do this. I'm just like,
We're on Ark.
yeah. I'm like, how do you just play Ark?
Oh my god, I have the worst experience with that game, Ark. I'm not even gonna go into it because it's not Xbox related, but fuck that game.
It's just like I honestly I feel like the dude bro stigma was like, for me personally, like I do see what you mean about like people that owning the consoles playing like 2 games, but like it was like worse during a 360, and then like I think Xbox tried to like rectify that.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
during the Xbox One stuff.
You can see they're trying to completely reverse that, and they're doing an okay job at it too. I think they're doing a pretty good job with trying to do the Game Pass. And it's like, well, if we have people that are only playing like a couple games, what if we said you can pay a little bit more, and you'll get like a bunch of games that you might be able to try out? And I think a lot of people are signing up for that. They're like, hell yeah, that's a good idea. Like, because I wouldn't have bought them, but hell yeah.
I think it works for like both crowds. I think it also works for people that want to play a lot of games because it's like, yeah,
Well, I guess we can talk about Game Pass because that's definitely one of the big things here.
Yeah, we'll talk about integration. I think maybe where we should start, because this is going to be there's different ways we can take this conversation, because we never really talked about Xbox outside of like we did that like modern console video. I don't know if you remember that Discourse, and we kind of shit on the Xbox One. Dude, we were like, who buys the Xbox One?
Yeah.
So maybe we could talk about just like the Xbox brand first.
Okay. Yeah.
What's your experiences with the Xbox brand? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Xbox was my first console of that gen, actually, which is weird to say. But I got it used at GameStop, and that was the cheapest one I could get at the time. And I loved it. I played like Ninja Gaiden was my first game on that, and played like Oddworld and Halo 2. Huge. Just playing that as a LAN console with my friends was like a blast. I can't remember having that much fun with multiplayer games in a long time. So it was big for me, but it did have a strong multiplayer component from the beginning. I mean, it was one of the it's Xbox Live really kicked off online. I think Sony might have been
Yeah.
first. I don't know,
Do,
but Xbox Live was the thing.
do you remember seeing those like whenever you'd buy like an Xbox game and they had like the little previews and stuff, and then they had like the one that was like an explanation of Xbox Live because you had to do that, and and it was like Dark Warrior 85 has entered the game. Dark Warrior 85, and it's like a guy in like a set living room. And he's like,
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, dude, slow down." And then like he like loses like, "Dang."
Oh shucks. Good try, guys.
It's so nuts that like they had to like make a video to like explain what online multiplayer was.
What was your first experience with Xbox?
Similar to you, I was I'm trying to think it because like what year did the Xbox come out? Like 2001? Something like that.
Around there, yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah, I was fairly young and I went with my parents and they were, of course we didn't have a lot of money and I was like I want the new consoles and stuff.
Yeah.
So they told me that I could go and take my what I had currently, go trade it in, and we get an Xbox. And I was like, yeah, of course, because when you're a kid, you want whatever's new.
Yeah.
Looking back, I'm kind of upset that I did that because I sold a PS1 and an N64 and a shit ton of games to like GameStop or EB Games or whatever, which is where Teddy's working currently. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I kind of regret doing that because I lost a shit ton of those games that are probably worth more than any Xbox game now.
Jesus.
And I had to like recollect some of that stuff later. But I'm a stupid kid. I was in like elementary school at the time. I didn't know. But I got the Xbox, and I liked the Xbox a lot. The problem was that I was a kid at the time, and there wasn't a lot on the Xbox that was geared towards a younger audience. Like I
Mhm.
played when I got it. I think I got it bundled with a pack, which I mean speaks a lot about me as a gamer. I had Jet Set Radio Future and Sega GT, which I played both those games a shit ton because I was always a Sega fan as a kid anyway.
Yep.
And then I bought like a few other games, but I think I was like right below the point where it was like Halo and stuff. I was like a little too young for that. So we eventually sold the Xbox for a PS2 that had like Crash Bandicoot and stuff I actually wanted to play on it.
Mhm.
But I always remembered like liking the Xbox and like the huge ass controller in my little hands.
Oh, did you start with the Duke?
Yeah, well, because I got
Oh,
it like
damn.
near like early on before the S controller was like introduced.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I played with the Duke. I think it was huge. Imagine me. I don't know how old I was. I had to be like 7 or 8. And be like, like trying to hold the big ass Duke.
Goddamn.
And then so, but I always had like fond memories of the games that I played as a kid, and then later on I would acquire an Xbox, and like honestly, just speaking about the original Xbox now, if I buy like a third party game from that generation, I usually buy the Xbox version because like it feels like the more premium version. It feels like the more premium console to me.
Yeah, is there an official ruling on what was the strongest? I've heard it's the GameCube and I've heard it's the Xbox. It's definitely not the PS2.
I've heard it's the X. Yeah, it's definitely not the PS2. That thing is not. I think it's like two PS1s duct taped together with a DVD player though.
Yeah.
No, I've heard it's the Xbox because it was basically it was based on like PC architecture. I've also heard it was the GameCube, but like I don't know. I think technically it probably is the Xbox because just counting disk space alone as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Um,
Yeah, the Xbox had the like the built-in data that you could like put songs on it
yeah,
and stuff.
it had like an internal hard drive.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Which is
You
why
know, it
probably
had
which I assume that's why people ended up modding it, right?
yeah, yeah. It had it had that. Yeah, yeah. You could add music to it. I remember ripping music from friends' CDs and using it in whatever games I was playing, Tony Hawk or something. I don't know.
Oh my god. Okay, here's how poor I was growing up. I didn't even know how poor I was, but I had a TV that my parents gave me. It was not like they didn't buy it at the store to give me. They had it. But it had mono speakers on it.
Oh,
I
no.
didn't know what that was or what that meant. Sorry. And I had like a My Chemical Romance CD, and I put it in there, and I didn't play it anywhere else. And I put it in there and then just listened to the songs, but it was all coming in mono. And My Chemical Romance, they have two guitarists, and one of the guitarists only comes out on one side, which this TV did not have. It was simply a mono speaker. So for like a good year, I would listen to that CD whenever I listened to it, and then I'd listen to it like somewhere else, and I could hear like an entirely different guitar solo going.
You're like, whoa!
Like, what the fuck is that? I like my version better. Stupid
dude,
kid.
that's so funny. I mean, it's not like that same experience, but I know like, I used to like, I'm a huge Beatles fan, but like whenever I was in school and like high school, I always kept like one earbud in, and then like my little fucking iPod. I don't know what it was. It was like the iPod Nano, I think it was. I don't remember. And I had music on that. And I would always be playing music, but I couldn't listen to the Beatles because they do the same thing where it's like half the song is on one ear and half the song is on like the other ear.
Yeah.
So I remember like I'd be like trying to like listen to a song, and it's just like, I don't know, fucking Yellow Submarine, and like one ear is just like doo, 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 doo. And I'm like, where's the rest of the song?
That's funny.
Yeah, this is funny. But yeah, I mean, that was a cool feature, is being able to rip music to the Xbox, and of course, Xbox Live. Of course, we can't talk about the original Xbox without mentioning Halo. Revolutionized shooters on the console and everything else, and whatever.
Well, not just shooters. I mean, you could say for sure revolutionized shooters, but it made the Xbox the multiplayer console. I mean, even though GameCube was like a family console that had multiplayer on it, Xbox was like the dorm room console.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Well, I mean, even after I sold my original Xbox and had a PS2 for a while, and until I acquired another Xbox, I still had friends that had Xbox, and like all they ever talked about was Halo 2.
Oh yeah,
that's it. I mean, I would go over the house and play it with them, and stuff, but it wouldn't shut the fuck up about Halo 2.
And a lot of people don't know this, but Halo 2 actually had a DLC pack.
Yeah,
It wasn't DLC. It was like you actually went to the store and bought it. But it's still kind of interesting that they started that. Like, I don't recall any other company doing that with a console game at the time. So
I think and we even kind of ignored it sort of during our like community battle. Nobody voted for the Xbox when we did like the PS2 Xbox GameCube thing, which is sad because like I think the Xbox did a lot of things right that generation, and I like that console.
Yeah, it's unfair because it was their first console, so it's like you're getting PS2, which is at the peak of arguably Sony's thing. I think PS4 actually might even be the peak, but and then you get GameCube, GameCube at the arguably their peak, or maybe I don't know. It's hard to say, but they had all this built-in stuff that they were carrying into those generations. Xbox had literally nothing. It's just like, let's try Halo, let's try Blinks, let's try.
Yeah. It's like Blinks. It's like they had the Halo. I played Blinks, I played Halo, I played Fable, but then for every one of those games that were like even semi-successful for Xbox, they had like Bloodwake, or, a game like that's like, oh, it's Boat Twisted Metal, I guess. Or it's like Brute Force, and it's like, what is Brute Force? I never even played Brute Force. I just saw the cover. But it's just like those games that it's like, okay, like we have to throw stuff at the wall, I guess, to see what works. But
well, and like basically that next generation is where Xbox really hit its stride on the 360. I would say.
Yeah, we can move on to that. So the 360 generation, this is an interesting shift because like you think of the original Xbox, and like we're talking about, it's talking about people say it's the most powerful console, if not the GameCube or it. You go to the 360 and it's like almost the opposite for me. I mean, not counting the Wii. Again, this is the point where Nintendo just fucks off and does whatever they want to do.
Oh yeah, They're gone.
Yeah, they're just like, you guys battle it out. We're gonna sit over here, counting our money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the generation where I guess they tried to beat Sony to the punch and come out with the console first in like 2005, and I think Sony was like 2006 on the PS3, and it hurt them a little bit, which not financially, but just like in terms of like the quality of their consoles and their software.
Mhm.
They kind of rushed the 360 out the door. Made a shit ton of money though.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Well,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear Teddy's thoughts on this. But too bad, rest in peace. Died in Spain, got trampled by some bulls. But I really wish I could hear his thoughts because that's kind of our generation. I mean, he's a little younger than me, but like that was our generation of like where we were able to buy stuff, and it was very, very because I was I think a senior in high school at the time. So I'm like
Oh.
getting a job, and I'm like, okay, I got to make my first purchase, and the 360 was it for me. PS3 was actually really expensive when it launched, like
Yeah,
way
it
too
was like
expensive.
it was like what, 500, 600, something like
Five
that.
hundred,
500, which I wonder what that is like adjusted for inflation. That should be like 8 or
especially right
something.
now. Jesus, it's
Yeah,
gotta be a lot.
this would be up there.
Which that was a huge misstep. And also one thing that Xbox did that was smart, and I can't really get into the specifics of this, I just know it to be true, is that they made it a lot easier to code for. Like as I recall,
Yeah.
the PlayStation 3 was like a nightmare for people to create games for.
Took them forever to figure out the PS3 architecture, except for Sony. Sony was like, well, "Look, we could do it." It's like, "Of course you could do it. You made the fucking thing."
Yeah.
No, dude, and it's funny you say that because again, I'm a little younger than you. Whenever the Xbox 360 came out, I was in middle school, so like that was like where I played games with friends in high school, but like really in high school, sorry, not high school, but in elementary school, but really like in elementary school, it's more like, especially like when you're growing up, just like with other friends that don't have like a lot of money either. It's like you just have what you have,
Right,
and
right.
it's like, oh,
Yep.
we're going to Billy's house because plays his Xbox, and then we're gonna go over here and play Jimmy's GameCube. When you get to like middle school and stuff, and you get more social with gaming, it was like, fuck you, man, I got 360. Oh, 360 is bullshit, man. I got the PS3. It's
Yeah.
So I kind of entered that generation whenever that stuff launched. I mean, I've told the PS3 story, sorry, the Sonic 06 story before, where my
Yeah.
friend got a PS3. He was the only person I knew with a PS3 at that time because I think it was fucking expensive. And I convinced him to buy Sonic 06. Sorry. But all my other friends, including myself, got 360s because
Yep.
it was cheaper. The online multiplayer games were coming out. Like there was a lot going on 360.
Oh yeah. I mean they had Gears of War started
Yeah,
on 360, right? Yeah.
yeah, which
definitely.
I was a huge, I guess I still am a huge fan of, not really as much as like the newer games, but like I was big into Gears of War whenever that came out.
Yeah. Yeah, and the 360 the Xbox Live really took off during this time. I mean, I'm sure it has to do with also the internet progressing in people's households, but it just clicked at the time. And for whatever reason, I don't know, Sony's just didn't catch on in the same. I mean, it still had it online and people played it, but Xbox was the winner of that generation for sure.
How do you view that generation though? I always view that generation as like Xbox started off like at the top, and then they slowly started like Sony kind of overtook them in like the last 3 years, like to like 2010 to 2013 or so.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know if that I would say that. I'd have to look at the sales to know for sure. But I just think if you look at where Sony started on the PS2 versus Xbox, it was like way ahead. It was like the PS2 outsold the Xbox and everything.
Look at that.
And then at the end of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 generation, they were kind of similar, like on the same boat,
Oh,
neck and neck.
so okay, so after playing a hard game of catch up, the PS3 finally managed to outsell the Xbox 360 in the lifetime sales. So trying to see a very small margin though.
Right,
The
right.
PS3 did overtake like in the very end, which is a phenomenal turnaround for Sony, by the way.
It is, except that they started ahead. Like if they started on the PS2 being like the kings,
Oh yeah,
and then it's like, oh, you barely beat out, you know, the Xbox 360 at the end. Like the ground that was gained through the Xbox 360 is just huge. So it's weird. Um, so I don't. It's hard to say. And also, I mean, the PS3 also. One thing that's unfortunate for Microsoft, and we can talk about this some more if you want, but is they just don't have a footing in Japan, which is like the
oh yeah,
bigger.
they've tried. They've tried, man.
Yeah, so it's almost like there's an entire market that they're missing. They're basically handicapped from the start. And granted, America's market is way bigger, and obviously the other markets are fine too. But without Japan, you can see how Sony can get like a leverage on certain things.
I'd be interested to see how the Xbox brand is like even like sold in Japan now. Yeah, maybe we'll ask Teddy. He's over there now. He runs a sushi restaurant, but
Mhm.
it's just be interesting to see like how they even market Xbox now. Because I remember seeing like ads where it's like you've probably seen the famous ad for the original Xbox where it's like a blue controller and Bill Gates and like a hamburger in like one hand or something. And he's like Xbox, right? It's like, is this what the Japanese people like? Is this Bill Gates the hamburger? And then on the 360, they had, I think it was it Mistwalker made like a few games for them. They did like Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey and stuff, and it was like the Xbox JRPGs, and it was like, yeah, but like, who cares? Really? I mean,
Yeah, you could tell they
people
were
kind of like Lost Odyssey, but
you could tell they were trying to adjust their image, but you know the game, they're not the GameCube, but the PS3 just had such a foothold in that, just from its legacy, that I just don't think they could overcome it.
which is unfortunate because then we move on to the Xbox One where
So
uh,
so Sony
my
shot itself in the foot on the PS3 by making it too much.
Microsoft cut off its foot.
Yeah, by doing DRM.
Dude, that E3, I don't know if there's been an E3 since that's been like such a shit show. Like, that was like the E3 where like Microsoft was like, check it out, the new home entertainment system, Xbox One, always online DRM. Check out this ESPN over here. Oh yeah, we got Call of Duty. You have to buy the Kinect with it, and it's like, nobody was like, yeah, that looks cool. Like everybody was like, fuck this.
Yeah, which is, it's unfortunate in a way, because I think they know that that's the way of the future is DRM. There's really no way around it, which is for better or for worse. But they were just too early, and for some reason, it seemed like they were actually trying to market it as
Yeah,
DRM, and it's
that's
like,
the thing.
why would
I
you
think they
market
were
something
like,
like that?
I think they're like, this is the way of the future. Whoa, it's like this will make us look more advanced and blah. And it's like, no, people are just gonna be like, oh, so I can't like buy a game pre-owned
Yeah,
or something. It's
it's
like
like,
I can't do
no.
this. No, full price all the time. Always online. Yeah, it was such an interesting time. So that was and I have no doubt that that's exactly why the PS4, I mean, the PS4 would have been I think, successful anyway, but
Mhm.
I think that's why like the PS4 rocketed where it is now, because it was just like, they had that like famous moment where the two guys are like, this is how you share games, and they like handed each other a game, and it
Yeah,
was like,
it just dropped in their lap. Like it's
yeah, it was like, Jesus.
what a misstep.
So I mentioned earlier I had an Xbox One when it came out,
Oh, you did?
and I played like 6 games on it. I played like Sunset Overdrive, which I really liked. The Rare thing that came out. I think I had like Gears of War remastered, because you need to remaster that game. Um, Dead Rising 3 and like Rise on a Rome. And I remember like I had the Xbox for like 5 months, and then I remember like I still had a PS4 at the time, and like everything else was still coming out on PS4, including the games like third party games,
Mhm.
and I had no reason to play them on Xbox One. So I remember just being like, "Why do I own this?" And I just sold it. I was like,
Same. I didn't sell
why
it.
do I have this?
I didn't sell mine, but exactly the same. I think I played, because for a while too, and they still do this, but it was bigger in the last gen. They did like timed exclusives,
Oh yeah.
and they had like Rise of the Tomb Raider, which was really
Yeah.
good, but it was like a 6-month timed exclusive or something. And so I got it on the Xbox. It was fine. I really liked
Which is
it.
gonna be one of the dumbest ideas, by the way. I don't want to go on a rant about time exclusives, but it's like you have to buy an Xbox to play this unless you wait 6 months. It's like I'll just wait 6 months.
It's interesting. I don't know. I'm all for people trying to find a way. I'm very pro capitalism, and I'm all for people trying to find a way to make something worth something to the person.
Mhm.
I don't know that timed exclusives is the best way to do it. It's a very weird concept, and
Well-
I think they know that, and we'll get into that when we talk about Game Pass. But I think Game Pass is a counter to that. But we'll talk about that later.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
it's just yeah, they had the timed exclusive, and really besides that, I mean, I played phenomenal games on the Xbox One. I played Fallout 4 there. I played Halo 5, which I wouldn't necessarily call phenomenal, but I had a good time because I played with friends. Played Gears, I think 4 is the one that came out. And that's it. Like there was everything else you could get on a PS4, and I like the interface on PS4 better. I like the exclusives on the PS4 a lot better. It's just, and that's honestly because of the DRM thing or because of whatever. That's where all my friends were too. So
yeah, same. It was
yeah.
like everyone that I knew played on PS4. So,
Yep.
but an interesting thing happened. So which if you look back on like I said, the modern discourse we did, I don't know when the hell that was, 2 years ago, when year, I don't know what the fuck we did that episode last year. The hell did we do that episode? I don't know. Anyway,
No clue.
whenever we did that episode, I shit on the Xbox One pretty hard. That was before it was reintroduced into my life. My perception of the Xbox brand was still the Xbox One launch, which is probably the same way for a lot of people, honestly.
Yeah.
So late last year, actually like October last year. It's funny because we're recording this at the end of October. I got the Xbox One S from the friend I was talking about earlier that had Arc and stuff, and I got it, and I was like, I kind of want to check out like the Game Pass thing. Fucking whoa! Like, talk about a turnaround. The Xbox One was great, and like,
Oh, yeah.
I think people kind of like slept on it at the end of last gen. Like, Microsoft, the fucking I think that's a bigger turnaround than the PS3 was, where they were just like they made it worth something when it was worth absolutely nothing.
Yeah. No, it's genius. It's genius because are you talking? Are we want to talk about Game Pass?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. And both you and I have Game Pass. Teddy's the only one that doesn't. And he stole all that money in his hot air balloon floating over Finland. Please come down. But regardless, we both played a lot of things on Game Pass, including Back for Blood. And you've played, I'm sure, and I think you played Control, and probably among. Did you get that on Game Pass, or was that something else?
I did play it on Game Pass first, then I actually bought it because I wanted to own it. But I did play it on Game Pass first.
Game Pass is a very weird thing because it's so new, and it's genius. Because so a brief explanation would be you pay a set amount of money. I think it's $15 a month, and then you get a list, like a laundry list of games. It's like a Netflix but for video games. You end up getting a lot of crap. I mean, not and it's not necessarily crap. It's just you get a variety of things, a lot of which you wouldn't play. I mean, it's just like a Netflix. Like you'll get a bunch of shows.
There's gonna be games you don't care about.
Yeah, but one thing that I love that they did was you get the exclusives of Xbox. They pretty much are guaranteed to show up on Game Pass. So like we don't have to buy Halo.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what day this is coming out. Hold on, let me look at the calendar. This episode.
But while you're doing that, we don't have to buy like the Gears games. Yeah.
But this game is so this episode's out on the 9th. Tomorrow's the 8th. Tomorrow's the 9th. The new Forza gets added tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's like I already want to play it, but like now I'm gonna play it because I have Game Pass.
Yeah. And the genius of that is that if you break it down from a financial perspective, Xbox will release, how many, or Microsoft, should say, would release what, like 5 big exclusives a year. But now they're getting us to pay $15 a month. So if you do the math, it doesn't quite add up to all of it, but it might add up to more if the original player was only buying 2 games a year.
Yeah.
So it really, really works out to their favor to do that.
Oh, and then they bundled now they have EA, whatever the EA services bundled in, and then they have the Xbox Gold bundle in. So if you're gonna play online, you might as well already just get Game Pass, because it's
Yep.
like $10 for Xbox Gold and $15 for Game Pass Ultimate with Xbox Gold. So it's like you'd be stupid not to just get Game Pass.
Right. It's and what it's gonna do is it's gonna bring everybody into the Microsoft ecosystem. Now what would probably happen is that price will go up once they get enough people. And
Probably.
that's where we'll really see like what the value is. Because if it goes up to like $25 a month or $30 a month, at a certain point there's going to be drops. And
Yeah.
so we'd have to see. But for now it's phenomenal. For now it's
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I use it on console. I use it on my phone. I use it with the Razer Kishi on my phone a lot and play games that way.
Yeah.
It's great service. It's like like the anti Nintendo, where Nintendo's like, pay
Yeah.
us $80 to play broken N64 games. It's 10 broken N64 games for $80. It's like, fuck no. And then Xbox is like, oh dude, you got $1? Well, we'll let you play 200 games for a month. Yeah, sure. You know?
It's very, very different. One weird consequence it seems to have had, that's, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's definitely interesting. There's a game called Tales of Arise that just came out recently, and I really, really wanted to play it, but also realized I didn't have time to play it. And I said, you know what? I'm not gonna buy it new. I'm gonna just wait and see if/when it comes out on Game Pass.
Dude, I'm so mad. Speaking of, like, that's because that's like a Namco RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but that just got me thinking. I bought Scarlet Nexus, which is also by that team, I believe.
Yeah.
And I bought that for $40 on sale. I was like, okay, good, good deal. This game's new. It's on Game Pass now.
Damn.
So
Well, that's the
bad.
thing. That's it, right? Is that it's like it's created a different take on the market that I think it's going to affect new game sales. Because I'm just thinking
Yeah.
like, well, why would I buy this if, like, especially looking at the brand of it, like a Nintendo game, and not that it would ever go on Microsoft, but regardless, you can understand like a Nintendo game might not be like dropping price or anything, but like a Bandai Namco game, that's gonna go on Xbox Game Pass at some point.
Yeah.
For free. Well, not for free, but I'm already paying for it. So like now I'm like really thinking about my purchases and like, well, if it's a third party game, I might as well just wait because it'll probably go on Game Pass at some point.
Yeah.
And that would, and
Exactly.
I was gonna buy the Tales of Arise on the PS5. So it's actually going cross market to do that.
Ah.
So I'm really, really, really curious how that affects third party sales.
I guess that's a good segue into the modern consoles we can talk about. So this video, I guess I'm gonna title it like "Road to Xbox Series S."
Yeah.
So you and I both have the Xbox Series S,
Mhm.
Which is interesting because if you would have asked me last generation if I'm getting Xbox first next generation, I would say no. But here I am with the Xbox first.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Of course, you have both, so you can kind of speak on your time with both consoles a little bit too, and but yeah, we're seeing an interesting thing this generation. Sony kind of also did it. They did like the PS5, and then they did the PS5 that doesn't have a disc thing,
Mhm.
which they both look the same. But Xbox like made two different consoles basically. Like they kind of had the same infrastructure and stuff, but there are differences between the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Like the S is so small, it doesn't. It's like the X is like a mini fridge, and then like the Xbox Series S is like, I don't know, dude, that thing is like fucking tiny.
It's tiny. Very small.
Yeah. It's very impressive for what it could do, but um, very interesting that they decided to go with like a basically making like a second new console to be like, oh, this is the entry level unit.
Yeah, it's a experiment, I would argue. Well, and I think they experimented with it last gen too. One thing that they well, and the experiment would be, will gamers buy something that has no physical?
Yeah,
And really interesting question. Actually, when they were marketing the next gen consoles, I was very confused by it because I thought I'm ready for pure streaming. Like I'm set. I'm like, when are we doing this? When are we just moving to streaming? No actual like buying anything, or no buying like a thing that you have.
yeah.
Stream. And I can see people's argument against it. I can see people's argument for it. I just think that's the way it's going to be, and so I'm pro all of it. I have Stadia. I was interested in Amazon, but I'm like, I already have Stadia. What's the point? But Microsoft's doing it too with Game Pass. It has the whole cloud playing, which you mentioned earlier, and that's great. And I think that's the way of the future. So I was really confused about the push for technology. They're like, this console has like 12 teraflops on it, and it's like, but if I'm going to be streaming it from Microsoft servers, why do I give a shit what the console has?
Yeah.
So I was very confused by that, and then when it finally released, it's like, okay, I'll have my PS5 be the thing I get like buy games for, and then the Xbox will just be my Game Pass machine. Um, and so technically, right now, it's still using the power of the console, but I'm hoping at a certain point this generation it moves away from that. And there's just,
They've talked
yeah.
about that recently. They talked about like they talked about more about Game Pass streaming and about very interesting idea here. I don't know how the hell this is going to pay off for them. The idea that if you have an Xbox One and you want to play a next gen game like Back for Blood or something with your friends,
Mhm.
you can stream it to your Xbox One. What? That's weird. Like that's an
No,
idea.
that makes perfect sense because
It makes, yeah, but I don't know, but it's like to me, it's like, well, so I don't have to buy a next gen console.
yeah, no, because I have the Xbox, or I have the with the Game Pass. You also get on your PC. Honestly,
Yeah,
with streaming, a game there is no game console anymore.
yeah,
Like a game console used to be the conduit that you needed to play. Like, say, I have this console, I'll play this game because it has to run on this hardware. Hardware is no longer an issue. Like I can play, like you said, we can play our games on our phones now. The phone isn't
yeah.
powering the game.
Oh
The,
yeah,
the
you
phone
know.
is literally a screen that will show you what's going on in the game, and you just send it directions. So,
Actually, currently over on my channel, Turbo Zone, I'm doing review month. Go check it out. This is a shameless plug. And at some, I don't know what day, but at some point during review month, I've already made it. There's a Game Pass mobile review coming out where I just review
mm,
the service and talk about it. And I talk about like I have no issues playing game. I show footage where I'm playing like Dragon Ball Fighters, which is a fighting game. Like with with a game like that, you're worried about like input delay and stuff. But no, it fucking runs great.
yeah.
Playing playing off a cell phone. So yeah, he's like, you don't really need the console anymore. Do you think we're at that point yet though? Like, is Stadia doing okay over there? Are they drowning? Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
no,
hear
the
much about
company's a
them anymore.
mess. It's a disaster. But I got a shit ton of free stuff out of it, so I'm all pro
Like,
Stadia.
I don't see that's the thing. I don't know if we're quite there yet. I think we're like getting to that point, but I don't think we're like at the point yet where it's like streaming is what we're all gonna do now. It's like,
No, we're definitely not there, especially with the YouTube community the way it is. Like if you just look at those people, no, they're gonna be they've been like, I need my physical media, yada yada yada, and I get it. I'm not trashing them. It's just I guess I'm of a different breed, but and also the one thing you also have to worry about is people's internet connections, because if their internet
yeah,
connections aren't good, it's gonna fuck it up. Um, and the one thing that sucks too is most internet companies require a data cap. So I've already hit mine a couple times, a couple of these months. Especially when I was sick and I was playing like exclusively playing Stadia, I think I hit the data cap. So things like that need to get
so
sorted out.
So you got the Xbox Series S as like your Game Pass machine,
Hmm.
which you and I have played a couple games. We played Halo and Back 4 Blood and stuff on it.
Super
I
fun.
Right now, the Xbox Series S is my next gen console. I haven't gotten a PS5 yet. I will. I don't know. I'm not really in a rush now because I have the Series S and I'm okay with that. With that right now, but I
Mhm.
will at some point. But like, it was such an interesting step for me because I've always been into collecting games, but part of my influence to get a Series S was the my want to step away from that,
Mm.
to focus less on like collecting physical games and just playing games.
Well, I think it's an indictment on what a travesty this generation of consoles has been to this point. Is that my next gen console is the Xbox Series S. Um, I've played my PS5 and the games I played on it are Jack and Daxter, uh, Persona 5 Royal, and I played a little bit of Persona 5 Scramble or whatever that game is that's a
Yeah,
Muso game.
yeah,
Like those are the games I played. None of them are PS5 exclusives. They're all from last gen. And most of the games I played on Game Pass, actually, the only one that isn't is Back for Blood, and that's basically a retro game. But all those games are just like last gen games. Now, once we start getting some games, it'll be better. But what a disaster it's been this generation.
yeah. And like we're even seeing like I know it's not like a console seller for PS5, but I just think it's an interesting shift. I remember whenever PS5 was shown off, one of the games I was excited for was the new Oddworld game, the whatever it's called, Oddworld. Whatever the fuck the game's called. Anyway, it's coming to Xbox now. So now it's not exclusive, and it hasn't been a year. So that's interesting. I'm curious to see if like more games start doing that, where it's just like that there's no reason to be an exclusive anymore.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
so
It's
uh,
I'm very very disappointed in this console generation. Um, there's a lot of factors clearly, delay issues, problems with microchips and whatever and who knows how much all that. And then really they can't market a game anymore for PS5 because the two
yeah,
people that have them aren't going to make up the sales.
yeah,
So
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I think what happened was Oddworld Inhabitant is like, fuck, we like money.
yeah, yeah.
We gotta put that on the Xbox.
Yeah, like
So now I get to play it, so I'm happy. But still, it's like yeah, it's like right now. I don't know anybody that has a PS5, besides like you and like none of my friends here like locally have PS5s.
it's
So
worthless. It's
yeah,
the only exclusive to that thing is basically Dark Souls, which
yeah, Demon
that's a
Souls or
remake or
whatever.
Demon Souls. Yeah, it's a remake of a game that was on the
Like
PS3.
Ratchet and Clank, but nobody's talked about it.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody's talked about
Which
that
is
game.
funny because I had a huge lead up too.
Yeah,
Just
it
like
just kind of came out and then it's like
Ratchet.
everyone just moved on.
um So you're kind of disappointed in this generation. I'm still waiting, but honestly, I'm super content with the Series S, and I'll kind of talk about that for a little bit. Why I really am enjoying the console. Obviously, Game Pass is a big part of it. I can play next gen games. I'm going to play Forza when it comes out tomorrow. At the time, at this time this episode airs, and also I'm going to play Halo Infinite when it comes out in December, and
Yep.
a few other games and stuff like that. But also just the fact that if you just want a console to play games from like the last 3 generations as well, this is the way to go. Microsoft has also been killing it with backwards compatibility,
Yep.
um, because I spent a lot of my time on the new on the Series S playing games from the Xbox One, playing games from the 360, playing a few original Xbox games, and with the new hardware, they're enhanced pretty well. You have the quick resume feature where I can just stop playing it and come back later, and it picks up where I am and stuff.
Yep.
I was playing. It's funny you mentioned Rise of the Tomb Raider because I've been playing the first Tomb Raider game, the
Yeah.
first reboot,
Yeah.
and I played that game originally on PS4, the PS4 version, and I remember it was fine, but I remember like it not running like great. I remember it being a little
Hmm.
weird, like some screen tearing and stuff.
Okay.
Um, it runs great on this Xbox. It says whenever you push the home button, it says like FPS boost in the corner, and I can fucking tell. Like it just runs like it makes it feel like a next gen game, even though it's not. It's an older game, but just like that could like it's running well, which
Yeah.
I guess PS4 does. PS5 does that with PS4 games, right? But the
Fuck
fact that
knows.
this works with Xbox One, and a handful of 360 and Xbox games is phenomenal because you have access to a whole library of old classic titles as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I think Microsoft, and it's just it's almost like a comedy of errors, but Microsoft focused on the technology and like the ideas, and I think they brought something new to the table. So at least we have that, like where we're like, okay, we may not really have many like big games that we get from Microsoft, like new games, but they had this whole Game Pass thing, and they have the streaming. It's like they built this really cool thing, and I'm like, I'll buy into that. So I would argue, yeah, Microsoft Xbox Series S is my next gen console right now. It's definitely one I play more.
Do you have any interest in the X?
No, not really. I hear it's a little stronger. Like it's like a better graphics or whatever. But I honestly I play that. I have the Xbox set up in my bedroom, and I just play it when I'm in bed. So my PS4 is where I'm gonna play all my single player games because those are gonna be Sony exclusives anyway, and so that'll be where I have the big, chair and everything. So I
And
don't. I
then, and
don't.
then we can play Call of Duty.
Yeah, we can play Call of Duty together on the PS5.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean on the Xbox, but
Oh yeah, and I'll be in bed. Yeah, yeah. That I think I like having the Xbox just as my all around console. And that almost makes me like a dude, bro. But
yeah, dude.
I have the PS5 over there, so I'm a nerd as well. There you go. Best of both
Yeah,
worlds.
and kind of like what I said earlier, and you mentioned it before. They tried that like no the all digital thing. They had like a version of the One S, right? That was all digital.
Hmm.
Before the thing was, and the same thing with the PS5. To me, those just felt like the the console, but like with a piece chopped off. It was like, kids can't do that now. But it was like, so why would I buy that? But the Series S to me feels like a different machine in a way to the X. It's like it it's not that different, like the way that's it's set up and everything else. It's just like specs, but it's just the way that it's marketed. It feels different. It feels like this is its own console, which helps it to feel less like, why would I buy this if it's just the lesser of the same? And it feels like, oh, I picked the Series S because like I don't need that big console, and you know
Yeah.
it's very interesting to me. I'm curious to see like if this trend continues.
I think it's going to. I think the Game Pass thing, because I mean, Sony has its streaming thing, but it's like a disaster. It's
Oh
been a
my god.
disaster. I don't kind of
PS
baffled
Now
it's still going on.
fucking I've tried PS Now a few times, and it's been like years apart. It fucking sucks, man.
Oh god, that's a shame too, because there's some games on there I think, especially for button mappers, we should probably play. But
Yeah.
um, but it's a travesty of a machine. And I think with Microsoft doing streaming right, that is it's going to be the winner of this generation. I almost think, even though the PlayStation is so far ahead, I just think it's going to be like another Xbox 360, PS3 situation
Mm.
where it's like it gains a lot of ground because of that.
Yeah, I could see a lot of people going back to the Xbox ecosystem with the new consoles.
Like, how do you not if you get all
Yeah.
those games for a low price?
Yeah. I mean, they're doing a lot of things right, and they're still, taking steps towards, streaming and, bringing Game Pass to other consoles. They've even, I don't think it's going to happen, at least not now. But there's even like the people that have always been like the rumors are like Game Pass might come to other consoles, including the Switch. Like, could you imagine Game Pass on the Switch? Like, that'd be interesting.
It's
It's not.
interesting, and I mean it's doable.
Yeah, I mean, they've had partnerships with Nintendo, which has been smart on their end, as well. Because I think that's helped a lot of Nintendo fans be like, oh, Xbox is like cool.
Yeah.
Because like there's like Xbox games that like Switch games like you can play cross platform. I think it's just like a handful, like Minecraft or Fortnite or some shit. But still, it's a thing. So it's funny, and they brought Xbox exclusive games to Switch now. Like Cuphead, Ori. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but they brought other games of theirs to Switch. So it's funny. It's because they're also kind of stepping out of their comfort zone to be like, hey, come over to Xbox.
Well, and it kind of leads me to something, because I've always, and I feel like they've talked about it too, but is Xbox Series, is this generation of Xbox the last generation of like hardware consoles?
I don't, personally, I don't think so. I just think it's the last time we're going to think of Xbox as like you have to have the Xbox to play Xbox. I think they probably still make hardware of some sort, some sort of a thing you can buy
I
to
think
play the games.
I think from here on it's Xbox as a service. Like, I don't
Yeah,
understand
but
why they would even release them. And if it's a machine, it'll just be like a big. Well, maybe they'll make a console like Steam did.
well,
or
no,
something.
but I mean they probably do like a dongle and a controller or something you plug into your TV. I don't know.
Right?
But I'm
Yeah,
not like
yeah, yeah. It'll be like
that.
a
But they still
controller.
release something Xbox. Like
Well, yeah,
Xbox will
yeah.
still be around.
The Xbox brand will be there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And but like, to me,
But
it's
yeah,
just
no,
gonna
but
be
like, I
like,
get what you mean, like a big box that you buy that plays games. No, probably not.
yeah, I think it'll just be like, it'll be on every TV. Like they have Netflix just sitting on smart TVs. It'll just be an app on your TV, and you don't even have to have an Xbox controller. You can play it on any controller, because that's how it is right now.
I kind of wish they would still make the Xbox controller.
They'll make
Xbox
one. I mean,
controller.
yeah, Xbox will still be. I don't think the brand will die. I just think that like as a hardware, I think it's done. Like they always say they lose money on consoles.
Oh yeah.
Like, why not just like, yeah, they take a loss and they expect you to make it up in game sales and controllers.
If I have to give them anything though, man, they started off with that Duke controller, just a joke, and then they get the series the S controller, which
Yep.
is nice, and then they get the 360, which is nice. The one controller in the series controller awesome. They've got nice controllers, man. They fucked up once.
Yeah, they're killing it on the controller front. They need to keep going. They got a good feel for them. Like they
Yeah,
feel
whenever
nice.
I was the 360 PS3 generation, even after I got a PS3, if I bought, which is so weird to say this, if I bought like an RPG, like a Western RPG, obviously, I can't buy like a lot of Japanese RPGs on 360. They didn't have a ton. But if I bought like a longer RPG, like Dragon Age or something, I bought it on 360 because that controller is fucking nice, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna play it for a while.
Mhm.
The PS3 controller felt like a fucking McDonald's Happy Meal toy or something. It's fucking plastic piece of shit.
Yeah, it's no good.
Yeah, so yeah, that's something that like even if they stop making a hardware, I hope they still make those controllers because they're nice. So, yeah, it's funny. I think there is still kind of like the dude bro stigma, but to me, I think they're kind of like turning it around. I think it's like almost becoming more of like a premium brand of sorts. It's like, of course I got an Xbox Game Pass or something. Of course I got that. Like I'd be crazy not to.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. Just like we'll see Teddy when he gets back from Paraguay.
Big trip.
Xbox. I don't know. This is weird, man. We haven't done a 2-man episode since that Pokemon one.
Yeah, where we just listed Pokemon ripoffs.
Yeah. We did the Pokemon ripoff.
That was the first video of the year, wasn't it? Or something like that? Like close to it?
Oh no, well, it was Game Talk was first, but it was like had it probably second.
Yeah, it was
video of the year.
really early.
And I think that was the only time all year that we've had, besides this episode, that we've had 2 people instead of 3 or 4 or whatever. I think. Wow.
Let us know in the comments what you think of the Xbox. Do you like it? Terry, do you like it?
Terry, do you love Game Pass? Terry's like, why would I pay the rent games that I can't play them all? I'm like, well, don't rent the games. It'd be like me saying, like, man, fuck, dude, like, why did I buy all these baked beans when I don't want baked beans? Well, don't buy baked beans.
Yeah. Buy what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, put it in the comments below, and send a prayer out for Teddy's family. He exploded in that car. His head ended up, stuck in a window. So, but I mean, he'll be all right, family wise. I think they'll be okay. But he'll be back on the next episode where we talk about milkshakes.
Is that the next episode? Some milkshakes.
You guys are better at figuring out what we're doing. I just took a stab.
Oh! Do you really not know what the next episode is?
No, I had no clue.
Yeah, I guess that is how it works sometimes. We just gotta show up.
I just show up and it's like, we're talking about this today. Cool.
Hey, we got it planned. Here you go. Oh, okay.
I'm a little bit more concerned because you thought it might actually be milkshakes. It's just like, I guess I don't maybe.
Well, it is the end of the year. This is when we kind of just cash out and sit on the sidelines for a bit. So
Yeah.
it could be the milkshake episode.
Dude, like, do we agree to this?
Yeah.
Milkshake.
Which the community thread for this month is which milkshake flavor is better, chocolate or vanilla? Yeah, Terry's like, they're both bullshit. I like strawberry.
I only eat strawberry.
I only like strawberry milkshakes.
Speaking of Terry,
You know-
he was like yelling at me during your stream yesterday. I was playing LOL like the entire time. So I was just,
Oh, was he yelling? It was like texting. It was like a message. How can you tell you he was yelling at you?
because I said I didn't like music. Like I jumped on your stream.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I have your stream on the side and I'm playing LOL, and then like in between games, which the games are like 30 minutes long, so I'm like out for forever. I pop back in like, oh, music sucks. And then I go back and start playing LOL, and I kind of look over every once in a while, and Terry's just like, how do you not listen to music? It's so important. And like, it's so important to, he said like, it's so important to me. And I'm like, I don't, what? Give a shit.
How do you not like big beans? I love big beans. I like big beans.
Big beans are the best, and if you don't like them, you don't know what you're talking about.
I'm allergic.
Yeah, cool stream. EDF is multiplayer, isn't it?
Who am I gonna play with?
Is it only Sony?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, they're like bringing a few like Switch older games, but yeah.
But it'll never come to Game Pass. You don't think?
Nah, probably not. They don't release a lot of that newer stuff on Xbox yet, at least. Maybe it will with the success of the newer consoles, but
Maybe I'll pick up something like that. That looks fun.
Yeah.
Just for like a
Maybe
shooter game. Shoot some ants with my
dude,
shotgun.
I will stream EDF with you. I mean, I'll stream it anyway, but
Yeah, I know you'll stream it anyway, so I hope you'll stream it.
I'll just do it anyway. It's like my go-to.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Which people love it, man. I was fucking. Did you? Were you still there when I was playing music?
Yeah, I heard Limp Bizkit.
That's stupid. People were loving that though. I let them pick the song between each mission.
Nice. Yep.
Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we're still in the episode. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Button Mappers. Next week, Teddy will be back. Hopefully, they can sew his body back together. Time for the next episode where we talk about milkshakes.
Good.
It's a slogan. Good.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them Button Mappers.